Hey, Etchi. Hey, Dishen. How you doing? How is everybody? Yo. How's it going, Dishen? Doing well? You feeling better? I think you're a little under the weather, hey? These last couple weeks. Sup. Good. I'm good. I'm a solid 7. Nice. All right. Sorry for the late start. Had some domestic chores to take care of. It's the perils of streaming early. Hope everybody's had a great week so far. Power's off thanks to a big storm. I'm sorry to hear that. The man, the power never goes out here. One of the weird things about Victoria is we don't get any real storms, like thunderstorms. Just none. Super rare. People freak out actually when there's thunder here because it's just not in a bad way. They freak out because it's like, oh my god, thunder! I haven't heard that in ages. So yeah, we're easy to amuse. So tonight, gonna do a little more casting of these things, and a little more weathering of these things. Well, not these things; these are weathered, but other things. And apologies for the clutter, Etchi. Sorry about this. It'll never get old. But anyway, let's. So I know some of you in here may have watched some of the casting that I was doing on the All Work No Play channel yesterday. Just to catch everything up, this is the booster that comes with the Schnabelgun. I shouldn't say booster, I mean the fuel tank. Apologies. And it's weak. It is weak. It's tiny, and I think Etchibat said it best. It looks like a tampon, a little tiny mini fucking tampon. So, I scratch built this to replace it. It does. And I wasn't joking. I wasn't joking with the with my fry meme on your Discord. Like, I looked at it for a second, thought, hold up. Nah, it's too small.
Drift is connected to chat at 56k baud.
Yeah, so anyway, I made this one. I mean, there's no detail at all on it. Like, I don't know. Luca got a little lazy. One scribe, he stuck a couple little things around here. He put a little bit of effort into having this angly bit on the end, which I'll have to do separately. I didn't do anything with that respect. But some Wi-Fi thing just disconnected. I don't know what it was. But anyway, it doesn't matter. This is done entirely with styrene tubing. I mean, I posted some pictures on Discord. Styrene tubing. You just buy this with enough different diameters that you can slide, them inside of each other. Like one tube into another tube, etc. But and that's how this was done. It's just cut and all put in together. On the ends, I just use metal beads to make the spheres on the end, and these pieces are epoxy sculpt. The wire, the cabling is all that you see is all electrical solder, which is just glued in place. Solder is great for this kind of scratch building because it just stays where you bend it, so it makes sense. And then the other little details are just more styrene. And for the styrene, I keep it simple. I use Plastistruct and bonding solvent. This stuff is great for it. So super simple. Scratch building is a lot of fun. Dealing with little tiny pieces of epoxy sculpt is a pain in the ass because it's sticky. But anyway, it's done. It's done as well as I need it to be done. So anyway, so now what we're doing is, of course, we're duplicating it. So then what I did is I made a cast out of Mold Max. The tightest fleshlight out there. This is just a simple one-piece mold. I sacrificed a silicone tube for silicone molding purposes, and I just basically glued a piece of foam board to the bottom of it. I glued this cap off the silicone tube, the silicone caulking. This all sounds so wrong. But anyway, that's right. In with the pickles. So I just thought of something. So if there's silicone, this was a tube of silicone caulking, right? But if you think about it, a fleshlight, an actual fleshlight, is also silicone caulking, isn't it? Shower thoughts by Corvus. We are not the most mature people at all. But so I just glued the cap onto the bottom, and then glued the whole thing onto a piece of foam board. All right, and then this over top, like that. Pour the silicone in there, right? Ends up looking like this when it's done. Okay. Cut this off, tear everything out, pull out the master. You know, immature people are the best people, though. Sorry. And yeah, I thought of doing a two-part, but I thought, you know what? This is such a simple thing that, you know, why do the extra time? Because and I know some people in Discord suggested a two-piece mold, but I'm thinking, you know, fuck. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, Etchybad. It's like you do a two-part mold, and it's, you know, you get the plasticine, and you have to create the open box, and then it's waiting for you're waiting twice as long to actually have the thing. It doesn't take, well, I mean, it doesn't take forever, but it's like it's significantly more work, right? To have something that's only moderately more convenient. And I haven't been having any trouble at all pulling it out. And I mean, I basically randomly, the reason it's wavy is just so that it keys at least a little bit properly. Yes, that is absolutely the case. It is that much longer. But anyway, so I've been making these. These are all the duplicates. So the gray one is the master, and each of these is a duplicate. So we've got 5 going on so far. I'm using fairly old resin, but it seems to be working okay. It's coming out a little bit tacky, but these are about a day old now, and they're fine. But I mean, that's kind of mold. That's smooth cast for you, though. They say 30-minute cure time, but that's bullshit. It's still, you know, it's 30 minutes before you can pull it out. But pull it out. See, it's 30 minutes before you can pull it out of the silicone. God, we're just a bunch of fucking degenerates, aren't we? Anyway, so it's still a little tacky once it comes out, and it's still a bit sticky. So when you're done with the silicone and you pull it out, it's still a bit sticky, and so you need to leave it for a little bit. Jesus. Anyway, so my idea is I'll probably have maybe there's sort of a top and a bottom on left and right in the back of this, and I'm thinking maybe 3 and 3 on the bottom and then 1 on the top. But anyway, that's what we did. And then these other bits and pieces are just, there's always extra resin, so I pour a bunch of extra shit in there. This is an example. I mentioned this actually in the chat, but you may have gone to sleep. Hey, and dog, welcome. You may have gone to sleep, Etchy Bat, but I think I mentioned it before. This is exactly what happens if these little zits that are all over this. This is what happens when you pressure cast in a silicone mold. I always say silicone. In a silicone mold that has not been vacuum degassed. You get these zits all over it because they're little tiny microscopic bubbles. Yeah, they're little tiny microscopic bubbles in the cast. I had forgotten that that this particular mold that I made was I didn't pressure cast. So this is what you get. Now Drift actually had a great idea. These almost look like they've started to oxidize underwater or something, right? So pretty cool there. So I might even use them for that. But then that same cast, that same mold, if I use it, if I just pour into it, yeah, it is a cool effect. It is pretty neat. It's only on the one side of it, but hey, who cares, right? Like, I'll use it anyway. I mean, it's easy enough just to sand them off, but this is what I tell people getting into their barnacles. It's right. That's what I tell people getting into casting, and you know, who kind of say like, oh well, I want to pressure cast. Well, I'm like, well, if you intend on making molds to pressure cast with, you also need to get a vacuum chamber. There's no way around it. At least not that I know of. I really don't think there's a way around it. So anyway, that's what happened there. And then all these skulls and things. Again, I have some skulls and stuff that I just cast. I have so many of these, and I've never fucking used any of them. I have so many of these just because I use it as an overflow. And then the other thing you saw me using as an overflow was these are like shell casings. So you could have giant piles of shell casings beside your mechs if you have them shooting, which I've never done either. So anyway, that's kind of what I was doing last night on the All Work No Play stream. Yeah, fun stuff. So what I'll do is I will pour another set of. I'll just pour another one of these quickly, and get that curing. Or do it, I mean, should I do that, guys, or should I just hold off on that? Maybe I won't do that. Maybe we'll just weather. Just because it's a lot of me sort of doing, pouring and crap. So instead of doing, I'll leave the resin streams for Etchy, and I'll just weather stuff. So Drift, did you figure out what you're gonna do? Did you figure out what you're gonna pick up? Well, I mean, if you guys want, I can do one. All right, I'll do one. We'll get one going. Do one. Yes, my liege. All right. Here I can actually talk you through it instead of people just wondering what the hell I'm doing. Well, what I would say, Drift, is... Hey, TJ.
Throw some shrimp on the Barbie. TJ, the man from down under, has entered chat.
One day I'm gonna remaster that intro into just the worst, fucking most terrible Australian accent ever, because that's the only Australian accent I can do. But how's it going, TJ? Welcome. Hope your I want to say Thursday is going well. I don't know. So the 90s. So what concerns exactly are you thinking you might have? Like, if you're buying an original that's a 90s kit, it's probably a fake or a recast. Oh, what's Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, no, that'll be fine. And buy. No, I'm kidding. That'll be fine. But how much is that? What is that, about 200? 200, yeah. I mean, hey, go for it, right? I don't think you could possibly screw anything up on one of these little kits like this. Like, I'm very much a like, jump in with both feet. Like, I wouldn't think twice about starting on the Dacus if it was my first kit, but that's me. I don't think really there's much to screw up on this. In fact, the best thing is if you went to like, you had a link to GK, the GK version of this too, didn't you? Let's just switch over to this. And I think I might even still have the link open. Is it this one? Yeah, so they often will lay the parts out on the GK listings, although they don't with this. But I can kind of tell, like, these are all really big. Is that the same one? Yeah, okay. Like, sometimes GKM will have a parts list. Well, they'll spread out all of the pieces so you can see what each piece looks like. So, I mean, it looks pretty clean, right? Like, even if I open this in a new tab, and let's zoom right in here. Like, so it looks like they've pre-pinned parts of it, which is fine. You often will have to drill out the holes that these mate into, because if you think about how these are cast, right, the holes are going to have little nipples on the silicone, and they're usually what disappear, you know, fairly early on in the casting. So you often will just need to drill those out in the appropriate diameter for these. A bunch of little pieces here, but, you know, I mean, that's okay. That's detail, right? But I guess the only thing with this kit is it looks like a lot of it is kind of hollow. And so you're probably, even with this, if you're looking for something that will be an exercise in pinning, I don't think this is going to be it. But hey, who cares, right? Pinning is easy. I mean, pinning, you just get used to pinning. Just use some soft brass and it'll all go together real easy. So if that's what you want, I would say do it. Yeah, I would say go for it. And then what was the one from, what was this link? Oh, I see. It's got some, whoops, what happened there? Okay. Oh my god, this website is like from 1982. Yeah, so this is going to go together, Drift, like a, to me, just looking at this is, it literally is. This is going to go together more like a conversion kit, where I don't think you won't need to do hardly any pinning, if any, with this kit, the way it looks like it's designed. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. But honestly, with all those clear parts on the Dacus, you're probably, should I say Dacus or Duckus? I never know. I don't think you're going to be pinning much anyway. To me, that kit looks like it goes together sort of pinless. So, Dacus, yeah. I don't know if Etchy has put any thought, because she got one too, didn't she, as far as how you're going to assemble that guy. I have no idea where mine is or what is even coming to me. Again, it was a Yahoo auction that I did ages ago, and not ages, but months ago, and it's kind of I don't know. They haven't sent it to the reshipper yet even, so I have my credit card company on standby. I haven't had a single thought about it yet. Fair enough, but anyway, so. But I mean, yeah, that's good. And I know you guys you're not really into recasts, but if you have genuine fears about fucking up, your first resin kit, I mentioned it only it's a cheap, throwaway. If you completely destroy it, who cares, right? You haven't spent a fortune on an actual original kit, because if you said in your list of rules there, as far as what you wanted, you'd like something possibly original from 5-star series or something like that, and they're like, immediately you're $500 and up, right? I think because the minute you start looking through eBay listings and things like that for old 5-star series kits, it's like, okay, that's a lot of money. And just be aware too, I mean, and you've probably noticed this as well, Drift, on, I can't remember if it was on one of the Facebook groups or one of the, it might have been maybe even on the Discord, the 5-star series Discords. There are fakes creeping in to that market. And like, I'm amoral about the recasts with some of this stuff, but the fakes, that's really an insipid thing that's happening. That's truly insipid's the wrong word. It's kind of a disgusting thing that's coming in. The fakes, that's an absolute straight up no fucking way for me. So be really careful about that. Be mindful of how the boxes are assembled. That's apparently the key. True Volks boxes open on the end, not on the side. Like the way that the flaps go together on the boxes is the only real key, right? Because unfortunately, a lot of these recasts are pretty fucking good these days. So for somebody who's shopping for originals, for the people who are looking for recasts, the really good recasts are a good thing. But anyway, I digress. So just be mindful of that, especially with like eBay. I'd always be, I always worry about all of those auction sites that you're getting something that's completely fraudulently marketed as an original, and you're spending $500 on something that is available from GKM for $97. Anyway, let us pour resin. Yeah, hey, no worries. I love the Macross stuff, though. I mean, it's pretty cool. I don't have any of it, but it's always something that's caught my eye. And of course, it goes without saying, don't get any conversion kits or anything like that. I don't think you'd want that, but yeah. The other thing that you could try to track down are some of the SD scale kits as well. The resin kits, the original SD scale resin kits. A lot of them are 1 day licensed, I think, but they'd be a good start as well, because you get big chunks of resin that you can drill and pin together. But maybe there's an SD Zaku out there as a full resin kit. Oh, I'm still on this. Didn't realize I was still on that that scene. Oh yeah, that's cool. Boo. You see these old boxes and you see these websites, and I always try them. I don't know if you do, but I see these old .jp websites. I always test them to see if they work. They rarely do. Hey, America! A lot of American sellers don't want to bother with dealing with international shipping. I mean, why? You guys have the biggest market for a lot of this stuff. Why bother, right? I would absolutely grab that. That looks awesome. Hard to see the pieces, you know. Hard to tell how it would go together. Oh, okay, cool. I don't really do SD stuff, so I haven't really searched very much of it. It'd be fun to build one though, for sure. And they're good size kit too, right? So because you're not in they're not in you don't end up in like resin kit hell like I was with the Machine Messiah. Resin kit hell is like when you're 1/4 of the way into it and you think, what the fuck have I done? So I'm just shaking up the A part here, which is the hardener. I think it's the hardener. When you posted in Discord that you're looking for a kit, a garage kit to do, I was very tempted to just fill the channel with anime girls. I don't know why. I didn't though, because I was at work, and my staff would have thought that was concerning. Oh, this is a new one. Shit. Well, where the hell is the? Hold up.
Cruising down Santa Monica Boulevard with the top down. Tear 23 has
Tear with the lurk. Okay. Let's do something. Now that Tear's here, we can start. All right. So, Smoothcast 305. Shake, shake, shake. That's right. Smoothcast 305 is 1-to-1 by volume. Right there. However, I'm making such small amounts, I go by weight. And by weight, you have to be careful about this with Smoothcast, is by weight it's 100 to 90. So I'm just going to pour an entirely arbitrary amount. That's probably plenty. And I find when you're dealing with really small amounts, really small molds, it makes more sense to go by weight. Now what I did forget to do is tear my scale, I think. Did I? Is it going to go negative? It is. So, how much did it go negative? Actually, I'll just tear it with a different cup. That's 0.2. Should be okay. My pour won't be that accurate anyway. So I got about 19.1. So that's 17 grams of part B. Hello, Tear. Welcome. Hope you've had a great Wednesday. Now, I saw last night you mentioned that you fell off your bike. Are you okay? Like, did you actually fall off your bike, or was that some kind of strange euphemism? You know, like, hey, feel like falling off your bike? So close. There we go. The fun is just getting started, TJ. We're going to make liquid things turn solid. Woo! I went flying. The Russian judge gave me a 9.5 because I stuck the dismount. Are you okay? I hope you're okay. And so then the next thing we need to do is stir in some blue. Here it is. So I'm just using this smooth on colorant. I have not covered that, but I can. Let me just put this stuff in first. Now, the thing with this stuff is it's super, super strong. Like, this is such a tiny amount. If I put in an actual drop of this, it would turn the resin almost black. And I'm trying to get it, I don't know why I'm trying to get it close to Luca's color of the kit, but, you know, I am for some reason. So what I've been doing is just putting a little bit of it, tiny little bit on the end. I'll show you here. Just on the end of the stick, like that. And then I'm just stirring that in. And that is plenty. I'm okay, just my dignity bruise on my shoulder. Mostly dignity. A dog dashed out of the bushes. Dogs. Secretly trying to kill us since the dawn of time. And so you see that turns a nice, pretty blue. Okay, so TJ, you can absolutely do resin casting without any, and mold making without any of the vacuum or pressure vessels. But what you get from, and Tear, I'm glad you're okay. Honestly, I am. But what that gives you is the pressure casting in particular. It really helps you combat the dreaded bubble. The bubble in the mold. Not the mold, but the bubble in the bubble in the pour, in the part. Which can be super, super frustrating. Especially if you're casting very small, intricate pieces, which is probably, I'm guessing, what you want to do. Now, maybe I have limited availability in terms of the resins that I have at my disposal. in Canada it's difficult to get anything other than smooth on, which is kind of like some would say it's a nice problem to have, because what I have up here is access to expensive but high quality resin. So I pay through I wouldn't say I pay through the nose, but I pay a bit of a premium for it. But it's good. It's definitely you just want general shapes repeated. Then yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't make your own molds, really. You know, what you get is just a little more finesse with the extra equipment. And so you have you know, like if I was pouring this and I wasn't pressure casting it, it would be the way that I've done it, it would be a little bit challenging to pour this, because you'd pour the resin in the mold, right, which looks like this, right? We were joking earlier that it's the tiniest fleshlight ever, but it you never know if there's going to be a bubble stuck in there, right? And so what happens when you pressure cast is it doesn't really force the bubbles out. Instead, what happens is it compresses all of the bubbles to be much, much, much smaller, because you're compressing all that air. And the resin then flows in. The resin is getting compressed. Everything's getting compressed. It's just that air compresses a lot more easily, so those bubbles all disappear. And you know, that's kind of the advantage of it. So, you know, you might have to do a lot of pours on smaller parts to get one that has worked well, but it's doable. I mean, hey, listen, you got to start somewhere, and if you're really thinking of doing it, it makes the most sense to just buy the silicone and buy the resin. Watch some videos of people doing it and just do that, because you can always buy those other things later if you need to, right? Okay, so let me get my shit together here. So I got these. This particular resin has a 7-minute pot life, which is basically what they consider the workable period of time. It's when you're dealing with tiny parts like these, it's maybe a little less than that, because the viscosity starts to increase the minute you add these two things together. The reaction starts, right? So it goes from being kind of watery to starting to get really thick by the end of those 7 minutes. So the biggest thing that people need to kind of learn when they're doing this kind of technical casting is you gotta get your shit, know where your stuff is, and get everything kind of like really precise in terms of, okay, I'm gonna pour, I'm gonna mix for 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna get it in the molds, and I'm gonna get them into the pressure vessel, and I'm gonna get the lid on, screwed down, and then the pressure up is sort of, and you want all that to happen as quickly as you can. But you also need to make sure it's mixed really, really, really well, because if it isn't, then you'll have parts that don't cure, and so it just takes a little practice, but you'll get it after a while. And actually, feel free to add anything that you think I might be missing on this, because, like I said, I think like I said on the chat yesterday, you've probably poured a lot more resin than I have, because I've only ever done this. I've only ever made kit bash type stuff. So let's get our mold ready. Very important. You see, I could have easily just mixed these while chatting to you guys and thought, oh shit, I don't have the mold ready. So we'll just put that there. I'm just using the same thing here and throwing some elastics around it. Which are over here. Achipan is to bomb. I agree. One. Do I have another one? I used to have another one. If I only had a pegboard wall filled with hooks, one of them would be an elastics hook. All right, scratch that. We'll just move this up to the middle and do it anyway. Because why full asset when you can half asset? So we got that. Yes, that's the other thing is 321 is gives you a much longer pot life. But what's the cure time on that? Like 4 hours, or I can't remember. Yeah, about 4 hours. In fact, I remember getting into an argument with somebody on the internet who, someone like TJ was asking, what's the best way to start? And this person had suggested, like, just get a bunch of, is it 300? What's the one from Smooth On that's like ridiculously fast? I can't remember, but there's one that has like, it's like a 2-minute pot life. I don't even understand how people use it, but it's really fast, and it must just immediately become the temperature of the surface of the sun, because that's the other thing, is resin gets really hot as it's an exothermic reaction, kind of, right? Like it that's how it cures, as it creates heat. But the 300, yeah, it's 300, and the pot life is like stupid. And they were suggesting just get that, you'll be fine. And I'm thinking, no, don't tell a beginner to get that. Right? Like you're just telling them to waste product, because they won't know what the fuck they're doing and end up with a whole bunch of wasted resin. Yeah. Like TJ, when you're buying your resin, get something with like a pretty long pot life, and just be patient and wait for it. You only need something that cures in 10 minutes if you're doing like single-sided casts. Really, the only thing that's useful for it, is, I would imagine, is like pours where you have an open mold, right? Like some of the ones that you know, people, if you've watched Etchibat, those molds that are open on one side, and they're just pouring into it and then popping it out, right? That that stuff would work great for that. But for this kind of thing, you know, or pouring little tiny molds, forget it. You want the longest working time you can get. You don't need to worry about the silicone. The silicone is almost always pretty slow, but which is good, because you have to, if you're vacuum degassing, you don't, again, that's all that extra time you're waiting to degas it. You don't want it to set. So we got that. And then what I'll usually do is I'll get one more mold as just an overflow, because I always have extra resin, and so I just have to have something to pour that into. So we'll just do more skulls, because you can never have too many skulls. Okay, so you missed that, Tear. What I did, okay, look, everybody, I need you guys to arrive on time, okay? Because we covered this at the beginning of the stream. Tear. Quickly going back over this, is this is the fuel tank that the Schnabelgun includes, which looks like a shitty little tampon, all right? It's bullshit, right? Garbage. So what I did is I scratch built basically this. This is made out of styrene tube. This stuff here. It's just plastic styrene. She said, I'm so sorry. The most Canadian way. Oh, hey, I'm so sorry, hey. I'm sorry I've made your stream just a little less skookum. So it's a bunch of inset pieces of plastic styrene. For the tubes, I used it is electrical solder that you can easily bend into the shape of pipes and wires and things. Extra detail done with just, again, styrene sheet, and then I scribed with my scribing tools the panel lines. I used the God Hand drills, centered drills, to make the little holes. That piece, that guy that you see there, that slotted screw, is just that. It is a watch screw. If you buy watch like wristwatch screws off of AliExpress. You can get usually kits with a whole bunch of different sizes, and they're great for this kind of kit bashing. I have a bag. In fact, they're right here. And then the other thing is, for if you're dealing with epoxy sculpt, you can get these tiny, this is Green Stuff World products, you can get these tiny little ball bearings, and you can press them in to make rivets. And if you're dealing with epoxy sculpt, I couldn't really use those on this though. So this was the master, and what I did with the master is I glued it to this, like so, and then I glued this down on a piece of foam core, like that, and then the plastic tube that you see this in, I lowered down over it, so this is in the middle. All right, so this is glued to a piece of foam board. This silicone caulking tube is empty, of course. The silicone that I'm talking about here, the silicone caulking, has nothing to do with this process. I just stole the tube, the plastic tube from it. That's lowered over, hot glued again as well down to the foam board, and then I mix the silicone, I pour it on top of this. I get the mold out after a day, it takes 24 hours to cure, and then I pull the mold, I cut it and then pulled it out, and then that's my mold. So I made the mold, it's entirely me. This is just basically scratch building and copying 101 here for anybody in the industry. And what's really fun about Luca's builds in particular is they're already built practically this way. So making your own shit for them, it's super fun because you can just kind of let your imagination go wild. So anyway, that hopefully has brought everybody else up to speed, and that's what I did. So there you go.
Look, everyone, hide your manga. Dreamcatcher Sky just entered court.
Hey, Dreamcatcher.
Welcome to the stream, Dreamcatcher Senpai.
So the only thing I'm not going to show tonight, because I don't have the lights on in here, you can't really see the floor, is the pressure casting. So once I pour the resin into this, I then put it into a big pressure vessel. Well, it's not big, but it's like maybe about 1.5 feet across and maybe 1.5 feet deep. And it has a big bolt-on lid that you then I don't dare put a picture of it on screen, because what'll happen is you'll all get ads on Amazon for pressure vessels over the next 2 to 3 months. So we won't do that, but it's this big kind of tank that is held together with very large, imposing looking clamps, and I then bring the internal pressure of that steel jar up to 60 pounds per square inch, which makes any little bubbles in anything disappear. So I won't do that on stream tonight. I did that on the All Work No Play channel. But yeah, so we should be good here. I'll just get that's right. I'll just get a stopwatch app going here so I can time things, and we'll get this going right now. Just hook up the air supply. All right. I'll try to do this on camera. So we'll start the countdown here. I think I'm good. I got my 2 molds. Precious air tank is hooked up.
Unpredictable Artist has entered chat. And
Yep.
this is her badass introduction.
Hey, Unpredictable. Unpredictable Artists, how are you? How are you? Just doing some resin casting. It's go time. All right, let's do this. Oh, I forgot to start the stopwatch. There we go. All right, so we got that in there. We'll start stirring. You can see the color already starts to look more like Luca's. Just make sure you get all of it off the walls. You want to make sure it is really thoroughly mixed. And I find that with this one, I can usually stir it. I can stir it like this with a little pour with only these two parts for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. So we're already at about 30 seconds. And then after a certain amount of pouring in this cup, I pour it back into the other cup just to make sure I get a fairly even amount. This is older resin. There's really no reason it should be working, but it is, so I'm just kind of rolling with it. So that's a minute. There's some little, there's some chunks of stuff floating in it, which kind of was a little perturbing at the beginning, but I don't, it doesn't seem to be affecting anything, so I'm just kind of rolling with it. Forbidden blue Kool-Aid. Yeah, you do not want to ingest this. This will turn into a solid plastic inside of you. This is how energy drinks are made. I'm joking, it's not. That's a minute and a half. All right, we're probably good. That looks to be about as good as it's going to get. I can start to I can feel it getting a little warm. So what I want to do is, because there's a very small opening in this, we're going to pour it down the side because I need air to escape. So what I kind of do is just dribble it in as best I can here. Just like that. Because I want the resin to push the air out. And then I'll usually just take my stir stick, or a stir stick, and I'll just do this. There's one bubble that came out. And you want to have a fairly big gate with enough resin in it that if there is an air bubble in there, if you as you compress, as you put it in the compression chamber, those voids of air are going to collapse, and the resin, you need extra resin to fill the top of the mold. And so then we'll just do the rest of the skulls here. Now, I don't really need to worry too much about the bubbles. There's no way that resin got down into the skulls themselves, but when I pressure cast, it will. So we're going to get it into the chamber. I mean, I'll do this in case you can see it. Kind of. So we'll get this in here. We'll get this in here. This is really close to the intake of the air. So I put a, let me get this done. Pressurize it. You can't really see the gauge, but it's here. All right, then we throw this out. And we'll keep that so you can see it actually do its thing. And there you go. What are you guys all saying about my arms? Blue raspberry. The worst possible drink. Is it possible to buy resin that sets transparent? Absolutely. Yeah, very, very common. Very common. Ask Etchy if she uses transparent resin. I bet you she'll say yes. Of course she is. She's going to say yes. Resin, but honestly, there's some really cool stuff you can do with resin art, Dreamcatcher. And if you go back and look at some of Etchy's VODs, she was doing some very cool resin casting with alcohol inks. I think I got that right. I don't do any of the art casting. I only do this sort of technical casting. But yeah, definitely, he was more clear than white, right? Because, I mean, white resin, this is what the resin without the tinting looks like, and it's kind of boring. I mean, you're not going to sell many fancy trinkets at the conventions if they look like this, right? They need to be clear with sparkles. So is pressure cast better than vacuum or just different applications? So you'll hear different things, TJ. Me personally, and like I keep mentioning Etchy's name because I'm not fanboying on Etchy here. She like I said before, has done probably a lot more with resin than I have. I literally got into resin so I could do this kind of thing. And as a result, that's where the extent of my knowledge ends. And I don't do this commercially, whereas she has done commercial resin production. But I vacuum degas the silicone. You need to pull all of the bubbles out of the silicone. And if you go to the Discord and have a look, in fact, I can show you. That was in Share Your Work, wasn't it? Let's go there. Our Share Your Work is just the most bizarre channel. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, here. This is vacuum degassing. All right, so there's a bucket of mixed silicone right there. And this is what happens when you vacuum degas. So it starts to basically boil as all of the air comes out. And then it reaches a threshold. I did a jump cut there. And then it all collapses in on itself. Pink brain. It all kind of collapses out, which is what's happening there. And you can see we're at, I don't know, negative 28. I should kill the cameraman. Then we cut off the vacuum. And we then let the air slowly re-enter the chamber. And you can see the vacuum dropping down. And so what you have left, that's all. What you have left then is a liquid that your liquid silicone doesn't have any little microscopic bubbles that get worked into it as you stir it, because you do have to stir the silicone for quite a while before it's good to go. And the result is a mold that you can then pressure cast with. You can't really pressure cast with a mold that hasn't been vacuum degassed. Or you get, well, you can, but you get this happening. Right, with these little tiny zits. Because the little tiny bubbles that are in the silicone, when you pressure cast them with them, they collapse and it deforms the inside of the mold. You get these pockmarked zits. So that's what I do. Now, I mean, I've heard of people doing, like vacuum degassing their resin and shit like that. And I don't understand that. I don't know why they would do that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but, yeah. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, Etchy. Have you ever vacuum degassed resin? I don't know. Anyway, and is it safe? No, it's not safe. Pressure vessels are not something to be trifled with. I am very confident in mine. It has a lot of safety valve. It has 2 safety valves on it, a variable as well as a proper, not from China one. Got one from a proper fitter. So I'm quite happy with it, and it works very well. Alcohol inks, yeah. Everything is better with sparkles, it's true. I just don't want them anywhere near me. I have a dream of making a chest full of Zelda rupees, where the green rupees are like 2 inches long, and the silver rupees are half the size of a cap. Dream. Hey, Greatest Chan. Enjoy the lurk. D-Channel fanboy Etchy. Any day. Any day. I was lying. Totally fanboying. So what build is this today? Okay, so we're doing this. Believe it or not, in all of that, D-Shen, we're building this guy. And that right there, actually you can't really see it, but how do I show you that? Well, anyway, if you look between his head and his shoulder is the little tiny tank sticking out there, little tampon tank. Okay. But that's what we're building. And there, yeah, you did the project thing. That's perfect. No problem, of course. You're welcome. This is why you only cast in metal. Yeah, there's no other safety issues or anything to deal with casting with metal. It's perfectly. It's much easier actually to cast in metal. Kind of no point in vacuum degassing the resin if you're going to pressure cast. Well, that's the thing. And what I found is when I've seen people do vacuum degassing of resin, they just end up with a thick, like, mucus of resin bubbles at the top of the cast. Because what you saw in the video with the silicone, that big bubbly mess that is on the top, it doesn't settle out with resin as well as it does with the silicone. So it's kind of like, what's the point? Unless you have maybe a huge gate that can all go up into. I just don't really understand why people do that. And especially because if you have the money for a pressure tank, you probably are going to be able to pay the extra $150 for the Amazon or eBay vacuum chamber and pump. So I mean, just spend the money and do it the way that I'm doing it, and you'll get good casts every time once you know what you're doing. Unpredictable is going to lurk. Unpredictable descends. I actually made a lurk command. Would you check that out? There's a big boy. That's right. It is. Yeah, it's going to bubble all over. Yeah. Or a torch, right? Like if you're doing open molds, you can use a torch, right? And just brings all the bubbles out. But it's when you get into the really intricate small pieces, like those keycaps that you were doing, that you want to just pressure cast. Yeah, you're going to... That's right. So just, again, vacuum degas your silicone, pressure cast your resin. Just do it that way. It's the way every quality resin product is made if you're doing this kind of casting. Just go straight to pressure casting and save the trouble. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, between the two, the pressure vessel, you can make your own. Like Etchy and Drift made their own pressure vessel. All you need is a compressor. I kind of made my own as well, right? It's a spray paint tank. That's all it is. But there's a big stirring thing that came with mine that you have to remove, and I had a special nut machined that a special what's it called, like a pipe fitting nut that is tapered, that sealed the hole that the stirring thing was in. Amazon still wants me to buy your version. It's too funny. That's too funny. We won't get into any tank trashing tonight, though. So you can already see, right? This very hard already and warm. So that's happening in there. But what you have to remember, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, the larger the volume, the faster it'll set up. So the really thin parts may not be at the same stage of solidity as a larger volume would be with casting. It's kind of weird, because you'd think the small thin pieces would set up first, but I think it's the other way around. I may be completely wrong on that, though. It may be the other way around. All right. So now with that done, and we're waiting on that. It's been, let's see how long it's been. I could just talk my way into it. It's only been 16 minutes, so let's do some actual spraying. Let me show you guys where we're at with stuff. We're sort of gradually just working our way up the Schnab. It cures from the inside out where the heat is highest. That's right. So I was correct. So these larger pieces where there's the most volume, the most sort of mass of the reaction in larger pieces, these will actually harden up faster than thin pieces. So it kind of, like, the way to think about it is like this may take more time to set than this, because this is bigger. There's more material to it. So this is what we did last night. So we're just gradually working our way up the piece. This one's pretty much finished. I just need to do the oil paint rendering. And then, of course, don't let the glossiness on any of these parts throw you. This will not be... Yeah, you did miss the weathering. I did a little bit. I just did this, though. I just did this because we were trying to get through these. These are going to look so cool when I'm done with them. I'm really happy about how these came out. I know I don't express emotion very well, but I am thoroughly elated. So we've done the weathering. This is all hairspray chipping, just using the hairspray product. And let me grab the other parts here. Yeah, so here we have the platypus feet. Its feetses. And that's like that. This goes here. Does it? No, that's the other one. A little trick for pinning drift and etchy. Etchy, have you built like this kind? Have you built any resin kits like this? Like I know Drift said that's his first resin kit, but is the Dakas going to be yours as well, or have you done similar things? Not mech, but anime. Okay. Same thing, less parts. And then we've got this guy here. One little trick, Drift, is I'll use different sizes of brass for left and right if I know I want one in a particular spot. Oh, no, that doesn't go there. Yeah, so he goes there. Like that. And so this is going to be over here. And this is over here. Like so. They're adorable. The platypus feet. But you can kind of get an idea as to what they look like. This is a little browner because the feet and the back here have had oil paint weathering on them. They've had a wash of brown oil paint. Which you can see on this one. It's just sort of, the wash is kind of pre-weathering. And then we'll get in there with pigments and things after we spray it matte. TJ, I know. For anybody who hasn't watched Luca Zampriolo's videos, he's what happens when you have a really classically trained sculptor, Italian art school sculptor, get into sci-fi modeling. He's what happens, and this is the waist, or the pelvis, we'll say, of the kit. And again, don't let the cave with a K. That's what he calls his thing, his workshop. I know he must have a CNC router, because it's like everything is just it's all handmade, or not handmade, but it's all like custom cut cabinetry and everything. So anyway, that's what we did. This has all been painted in the Tamiya silver and copper. This has not had any washes or anything put on it. Again, you guys all saw me do this. This is a spring, an actual spring. This was not part of the kit. This was added, and I had to epoxy sculpt these two sort of ducts out, extend them out with some Plastistruct tubing to make that. So that's kind of where we're at with the kit. So what we'll do is we'll just do a little bit more weathering. Let's do this piece, which is sort of behind the head area, and it has the thrusters attached to it, which I can't reach right now. So we'll weather this up, same green. So we'll do some hairspray weathering right now. Luca is also a really friendly guy. Like, get on his Instagram and follow him for sure. And if you ever have questions about any of the techniques or how he did something, just ask him and he'll answer you. He's a really nice man. All right, so hairspray. So 2 coats of the Tresemme. And then we'll hit that with the hair dryer. Looks like this after you've applied the hairspray. All right, and then it gets more of like a matte sheen after you've dried it. We'll do one more of the hairspray. All right. And hair dryer again. AE Resin Art, thank you for the follow. Welcome. We're just working on a large resin kit. You can see up in the corner here, this guy here. I didn't cast this. This is from Luca Zampriolo, but we are casting some parts that go with it. We're casting some of these, which is a scratch build sort of add-on for the the piece that I mastered this piece out of styrene, solder, and epoxy sculpt, and we're just duplicating it. So that's the casting part. So right now we're just going to do, while we're waiting on that cast to set, we're doing some hairspray chipping, which is a weathering technique, where we're going to now paint this in green. We're going to use cockpea green, which I'm told stands for cockpit, but I think it's funnier to say cockpea. Let's get all this. Oh, who's that? Tear23, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Big hearts, big love. Gifting AE Resin Art. Tier 1 subscription. You're the best, Tear. Cat Jam. God damn it, I need to turn that on. I'm sorry. Thank you so much, Tear. Big love. Big love. Big love. Can I get in closer? Big love. You have two subs for that. Awesome. Thank you, Tear. So we're just gonna hit it with a little bit of this. So to the spray booth. Ciao. Hi. All right. So we'll give this a little mix. Needs a cleaning. And for thinning this, for the hairspray chipping, I like to use the acrylic thinner from Tamiya. And I'll let you guys decide which airbrush I use, Harder and Steenbeck or the HPCS Iwata. Iwata it is. Feels a little stiff. Mixing my own resin right now, getting these C tables poured. Oh, just so everybody's aware, in case it wasn't clear, AE Resin Art is for dads. That just clicked. All right, so what we're going to do is put a little bit of this in here. And I mix this half and half. So AE Resin Art, I believe, is going to be like a similar to my All Work No Play channel, is 4Dad's equivalent. I hope I'm right there. and some other shout outs. Do follow Etchibat for more resin art. Unpredictable for art in general. Give Drift a follow, because maybe he'll actually start streaming if everybody follows him. And Dishan for some fun gaming related content. So I do a 1-to-1 mix on with the Tamiya paints. And we're just going to spray right over the hairspray. And as I said many times, there's no need to be super even about it. There's something to be said for having some lighter and darker patches with a weathered piece like this. You know, so unlike what you saw me doing with the Double Zeta or the Machine Messiah, we're not really going for full perfect coverage. It's like that. That looks pretty good. And actually, you know what we'll do is we'll just put a cap on this. I'll deal with that later. And even with this Tamiya paint, there's really no, when you're doing weathering stuff like this, there's really no need to wait for paint to dry. Just use a hairdryer. And then that's basically ready to go. Let's move some of this out of the way. Okay, we're actually, I think, at 34 minutes on the mold. So again, chat decides, do we do the weathering, or do we pull the mold? All right, says the person who's pulled so many things out of molds that she just doesn't give a shit. I don't care about casting. Let me just get a paper towel. Oh, we got one here. All right. Does that seem a bit overexposed, maybe? There, that's probably a bit better. All right. So you can see that okay. So with weathering, with hairspray chipping, less is more. Just remember that. So we'll just put some liquid down. It reactivates that layer of paint. And then you can just poke at it with the tip, just gently, gently, gently. I'm going to go full Bob Ross mode here, everybody, just warning you. Just gently poke at this. Poke, poke, poke. A little bit of pokey, pokey. Poke in here, poke in there. Just friendly little pokes. What you're trying to do is get the happy little weathering accident. Get some moisture on the paint, sort of reactivates it. And then once you can see that the paint, the water actually soaking in and evaporating off, and at that point you know it's kind of ready. And you can just, again, just gently, gently work away the chips. And you want to think about where chipping happens. It should be, in my opinion, in spots that water may have pooled. So I like doing seam lines, around seam lines, around where two plates come together in a valley, and also on edges, where you can get a nice line, like that. When I talk like this, this is now the ASMR stream. I want you all to know that you're very nice people. You're very special people. And I'm proud of you for whatever terrible secrets you've managed to keep for all these years. I'm proud of you. That's actually not a bad idea. I don't know if I could do 5 minutes of that. But that's the thing, right? Etchibat is Corvus Ross. Be dark. Be dark. We're just gonna poke. We're just gonna poke at this. Like that one summer when you found that dead hobo and you took a stick and you poked him right in the eye. Right in his dead, lifeless eye. All right, that's definitely happening. That's definitely happening. All right. I don't know if I can do it for 5 minutes though. Yeah. And speaking of rewards and things, I do have another emote slot available that I was going to use for the right now I have the crow and more tape. I mean, are you guys okay with Tape God being the third one? Or would you rather, do you have any brilliant suggestions, as you are often capable of coming up with, like what just happened with Corvus Ross, for something else that I could do? Are we okay? Here it comes.
tape god. More resin for the resin throne. More sprues for the sprues lord. More paint for the paint king.
Drift, you maniac. Thank you so much for that, Redeem. I needed that. I needed that. Thank you. You guys are crazy. Tape God is a fine emote. All right. So, then that's what it'll be. And thank you for your valued opinions, everybody. You probably do. This is, this unfortunately for the tape god is going to be a pretty, it's going to be a pretty pathetic tape ball on this build. Not a whole lot of taping. Not a whole lot of taping. I'm sad to say, because of the way that you paint up Lucas kits. You don't really even give a shit about overspray, right? Like, like with this piece. Hey, Terra, thank you. The biddies. Terra, thank you so much. 100 biddies. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. The, you know, the way that you can paint these is I sprayed the green, and I didn't really give a shit at all about any overspray whatsoever. It doesn't matter if you get green all over these copper and silver parts. Your first time? Your first time doing biddies. Yes, that's right. You've donated 100 so far. Congrats. If you donate another 301, you'll get into you'll take the third place biddy, if you want to really go for a biddy, an all-out biddy war. Not to be confused with the titty war. That's different. Can't do those on Twitch. But yeah, you just paint the silver over the overspray, so you don't even need to mask that, right? So anyway. White Wolf, welcome. Welcome. I'll be on for probably another half an hour. On Wednesdays, I got to end at 9. I win that one. You don't know that. How you doing, White Wolf? How you doing? Hey, thank you. And a sore knee makes one take longer. Yeah. I am indeed in the process of weathering up one of the back. This is sort of one of the pieces that comes off of the head, the torso. I don't know what purpose it serves, but it sure looks cool. So again, White Wolf, just hairspray chipping. No, trust me, I know. I'll just get right in there. A little bit here. So Drift, have you hit the buy button yet? Have you set up the auction sniper applications? Rust lacquers and another weathering set are on their way over. Oh, cool. Good to know. So Drift, everybody, is has an original Volks Dakas Knight on the way. It will be his first mecha resin kit. And the Dakas is probably it's a bit of a complicated one, I think. A lot of clear resin. And he's looking for suggestions on resin kits that might be better for a first one. Kind of get your feet wet. I mean, I'm not personal friends with Drift, and I believe Drift to be a quite an accomplished scale modeler, but no resin kits. So if anybody has any cool suggestions, be it Macross, 5-star series, or anything like that, he'd like to stay away from. My understanding is he'd like to stay away from recasts if he can help it. Yeah, if there's a simple kit, like don't be going and suggesting like, oh, why don't you do the workshop cast Twin Towers, or something like that. But if there's a simple something or other, then that you've seen out there, then be sure to drop a link, because he's open to suggestions. We need a little more in here. So White Wolf, it doesn't have to be mech, or it doesn't have to be Gundam. By no means does it have to be Gundam. I think he's open to just about anything, as long as it looks cool. I had suggested the Rook from Industria Mechanica, because if people aren't aware, like Industria Mechanica is very much in the process of a giant sea change in terms of how Michael Fichtenmeyer is doing business. He's switching to be completely digital through his Patreon, and then he'll release models on Patreon, and then they will go on his website as purchased STLs, and so things like. But what he has said is the existing kits that he's known for, like the Rook, and the Knight, and the Waldo, and the Remora, and all of those, they will never be made again. They are not going to get converted to digital, and once they've sold out, they're gone forever. So if you are interested in any of Industria Mechanica's stuff and it's in stock, then you know, don't wait too long. But I know early on in our relationship, Drift had mentioned that he was interested in the Rook, so I know that Michael has a few of those left. And it's a fun, easy kit to begin with. The mold on the main body is an absolute mess and requires a fair bit of epoxy work. But yeah, I'm not going to open any links just right now, White Wolf, but it sounds like those might be some fun ones. I'll go back and look after. Just want to get through this so we have time to have a look at that cast before we end tonight. Oh, and I don't think he wants to do any conversion kits. Is the other rule in the Pop Drifts Resin Cherry competition. The winner of the competition gets to actually keep the resin kit that Drift is going to paint. Disclaimer, these rules are a lie. They can have my tape ball. Seriously? That right there is heresy, my friend. You don't give away your tape ball. It's more valuable than the piece itself. There we go. Just a little more. Just one more panel here to do. Paint's being a little more difficult. Tape ball is our currency. I probably just didn't get quite enough hairspray down here. Okay, here it's coming off now. Get this corner. Looks like a spaceship that was bashed in. It totally does, doesn't it? It totally does. Here, can I do the Star Wars thing here? Jesus. Terrible. Pew, pew. I added some stripes to my big gun, but the tape tore off half the paint with it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You're using proper like hobby tape, yeah? That's looking pretty good, I think. Oh, maybe let's do a little bit more up here. This part here isn't really seen, but what the hell. Let's just weather it anyway. Hobby masking tape. That's interesting. I mean, does anyone have any tips for TJ with that? I mean, I don't have that problem, but I suspect it's probably because I don't use acrylics. I don't use acrylics. Tear, thank you so much for the subscription and the biddies. You're a peach. A gentle person and a philosopher. I appreciate you more than you could possibly know. Have yourself a lovely evening, and I will be back on Friday night. Take care. Yeah, I don't have that problem, and I suspect it's likely, TJ, because I use lacquers, which kind of have a heck of a lot more grip than acrylics. So yeah, maybe Etchibat or somebody who does more work with acrylics might have some suggestions there, because that shouldn't happen. That really should not be happening. So something ain't right. I like just getting these edges. It's always fun to have some, some rust on the edges of things. That's all done. That's all done. That's good. Yeah, this is totally some kind of spaceship that he bashed in. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. No, TJ, I believe, uses Vallejo model color. Or is it game color? I don't think it matters ultimately, but it's a Vallejo. It's the Vallejo. Vallejo. The Vallejo paint. So I would say that's probably good enough for this guy. So we'll just let that dry. And now let us remove our casting. It was sprayed over the first layer of paint. Oh well. Instant weathering, I guess. Oh, yeah, sorry, the tape. So is it Tamiya brand tape? Or the alternative would be, well, in my part of the world, at least, the alternative is there's a Vallejo tape as well. So we're just going to release the pressure in the mold. I don't know if you can hear that hissing, but that's what that is. Nameless Chinese tape. The one thing you can try, TJ, is if you think that the tape, like if the tape is pulling it off, as some hobby brand tapes, what I do is if I'm concerned about it, I will actually take the tape and I'll stick it against my hand a few times. And what happens is it degrades the adhesive enough that you don't risk tearing, like it gets less adhesive, right? So it doesn't stick quite as well, but it still will stick enough to mask the paint. I thought you were letting the mechanical snakes go for a walk. All right. Okay. So there we go. Pressure casting. Everything's fine. No one's been hurt. Let's start with the skulls. Now I could have sprayed mold release in this, but I don't. Because I don't care. I should, but I don't. Oh well. There. Tiny little skulls. I don't know how close I can zoom. I can actually get in on these with this camera. That's pretty good. I'll throw a bunch of these into your care package, Etchy. You can build a positive skull throne. You're gonna go for your car. That's right, skull throne. They make they're sold as little additions, right? To go with. I think these are like standard. Oh shit! What is it? Like 28 millimeter scale. Just scenery, like basing, that kind of thing. But they're stupid expensive. Like these are from Green Stuff World originally, and it was like $25 Canadian to get that. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And Green Stuff World isn't North American, so I had to pay for the import and all that crap. So I just duplicate them. I'm a filthy recaster, I guess. All right, so let's do this. Too close. Big ass Citadel skull kit, yeah. That's right. Now you too can have a skull throne. So we'll just gently peel this open. And you gotta get my fingers in here and then grab the end and just kind of gently birth the fuel tank. And there it is. Really nice cast. This one came out straight because I left it longer than the half hour. Sometimes they'll come out a little bent. But yeah. And like all the detail, TJ, is pretty impressive on these, high sort of, the resins like smooth on. Like, look at that little tiny slot there. Right, it comes out just fine. This is the master. Okay. And then that is the copy. So, thank you. I appreciate that. I actually kind of regret not making this master on stream. I mean, there will be opportunities in the future to do some scratch building on stream. That I'll get to. I have a resin kit of my own that I've been working on for quite a while. and I'll do some parts of that. I've mentioned it in the past, sort of a matrix sentinel type thing that uses a Nixie tube as the eye, but it just cycles through prime numbers. But anyway, but yeah, so that's some casting anyway. So you can see right now. So where are we at count wise? So we have 3 for the bottom. So I really just need maybe 2 more. I'm not going to use the master in the model, but I mean I could, I guess, and just do 1 more. But we're going to do 3 in the bottom and then 2 on the top. I don't know if I have a picture of the... do I have it open? I do. So here's what it looks like. And I was thinking I might not actually have room for as many as I need. Maybe 3 is all I'll do, to be honest with you guys. So I was going to have it sort of set up like this, 1, 2, and then a third one coming out the side. See, this is the latest version, by the way, of the Schnab. If you ordered it now, or I think this pre-order is closed from Luca, but this is the version he's currently selling. Has a different kind of different looking gun, as well as he has, look at that, updated the tanks, because even he thinks they're dumb. Mine are better though. And he's put these in here. I don't know if I like those. That piece there on mine is here, and there's nothing on that back bit. Do I have a picture of the back? Not really. There. That's the old back though. This kit has gone through a lot of different sort of generations. But yeah, you can see here's what they look like. Like the ones I have look like. So they will look more like his up here when all's said and done. Much bigger, much more proper. Yeah. All right, folks. Yeah, he very likely does. So with the videos, did you watch him scratch build the Suzabi? See, this is neat too. He's got a tank coming off of this. Like, where is that gun? I had that gun here for a bit. Because, I mean, maybe I could do something like that. Like, this is normally, this sits like this. I mean, I could use these older tanks and maybe do, I don't know, maybe that looks dumb. This piece here goes on the back like that, and then this is there. I mean, maybe I could repurpose some of these old tanks too. That might be pretty cool. What do you think? That looks pretty good, but maybe still add to the tanks, since the tanks are still super plain. Yeah, these tanks. Actually, he's making more work for me. I mean, I could use one of these tanks, or does that look wrong? Or, you know what I could do, actually? What I could do is I could cut one of these. One of my cast ones. And make a smaller version. Or, you know what I could do is I could just make an entirely new one. Maybe that'll be Friday night stream. Maybe. We'll see. Or I could put little skulls all over it. I should put a skull on it. Little skull ornament right there. Skulls, all the skulls. Little skull. Tiny skull ornament. too fun. All right, folks. That's going to be it for me. Please stick around for the raid. Let's... Law, the boss obviously didn't pick KMY Resin this time. Another set of instructions. Make it fire skulls. Etchy, do you think you'll stream tomorrow, or taking it easy this week? How about we raid? Oh, you got a wedding to attend. That's right. I remember now. Yep, yep, yep. Congrats on that. That's awesome. Gonna throw rice at the TV. Is that okay for your animals? Is that okay for your animals? The dogs would love it. Awesome. All right, we are going to raid Invader Sav's Gunpla. Invader is a builder. Pretty good one, too. And thank you again, everybody, for the for everything tonight. Drift for the redeem. Tear, of course, for the gifts. And thank you for the follow, A Resin, on your second account. That's awesome. So stick around. And check out Invader, and I will be back on late night on Friday. I may be on tomorrow though as well on my All Work No Play channel. So if you haven't followed that already and wanna totally not interact with me at all ever, then that's the one for you. I ignore everybody all the time on that channel. Sarcasm abounds, but. Take care, everybody. It's been absolutely swell. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and let's get this raid started. But yeah, again, thanks everybody. Drift, look forward to seeing you to seeing you build your first resin kit. So get on that, my friend. Get on it. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Friday if you drop in. Cheers. Take care. Bye.